Okay, so a couple days ago, I decided that I was going to go through and try and strip the paint off of these castings and off these outside parts of the motor. There was some rust coming through in spots on the cast iron. I don't know if you call it rust or corrosion or whatever, but I didn't want to have to just clean up one section and respray everything and have it not stick to the old paint, so I decided I would just try to clean it all up and have it be uniform. Use Citrus Strip. I've seen other people use that with some success. Keith Rucker from Vintage Machinery. So I gave it a shot, and it looks like it's worked for the most part. I'm not sure that it's going to be sufficient for one coat. I may end up having to coat some other things. I know on this outside motor cover right here, let's see if I can, where the paint was still shiny underneath the capacitor, it didn't do anything. But over here, it's coming off. So I don't know. Let's see what comes off and go from there. So here we go. Let's see. Now granted, it's probably not ideal conditions for using this product, only because it's cold in my basement, and I don't know how that will affect its use. So see, some areas this is coming off really well. Sorry, I'm trying to do this one-handed and keep it in frame here. So some areas it's coming off real well. Other areas it doesn't seem to have penetrated very much. So I'm gonna have to like over here where it's kind of changed colors, it's coming off real easy. Or at least this layer. There may be several layers of paint on this, I don't know. But it's coming off fairly easy there. And other places where it's still very white, like here, it's very stiff. So I'm gonna work on stripping this stuff down real quick and see what it looks like, and I'll come back at you. Well, guys, I got a second coat on there. A little bit. Got a second coat on there. Hopefully a second coat does it. Second time's a charm. Hopefully no third time. I think we'll do better. It's already starting to whiten up here. So, good liberal coat on there. Not too thick, not super thin either. Hopefully enough to penetrate what paint's left. Get it cleaned up, and then get that scraped off, and then I'll probably just take a wire wheel to it, and hopefully this stuff comes off too, and we'll see what happens from there. Still gotta work on these main plates. I haven't done anything with that. I'm willing to push the temperature limits a little bit with the citrus strip stuff. Tongue twister. However, I'm not going to try and paint in this type of weather, obviously. There's a few places I could go with the paint other than my own house. But I haven't had the time to get it cleaned up and get it ready. So, still trying to figure out what to do with this badge. I like the fact that it's the original red. What appears to be the original red around the KC for Kingston Conley. So I may just try and mask that off. It looks bright in the video, but it's actually kind of faded when you look at it. So I'm not quite sure what to do about that. I'll have to figure that out. That's it for now. Okay, we got another 24 hours on this coat of Citrus Strip. So this seems to be a little better. Maybe it got through the thick stuff, or maybe it's just penetrated better. I'm not sure, so I'm gonna try and scrape this stuff off and see how it turns out. I'll let you know. Okay, everybody. Just got done putting a little time in to get things cleaned up. Some more getting ready for paint. I had put a second coat of the citrus strip on the castings, and it did a pretty good job. It still had some gummy spots, so I ended up just taking a wire brush, just kind of brushing everything off kind of rough. I figured that'd be pretty boring to do on camera, so I didn't do it. But then I ended up grabbing a little rotary tool. Here let's see. It's like a little Rotozip, not a Rotozip, a little Dremel, but it's made by a different company. Wen's got the flexible attachment on it. A few different style steel brushes, and I just went in and cleaned up all the nooks and crannies. Got it pretty good. A little touch up here and there. I'm gonna have to clean out the races. Maybe clean down in these little crannies here. I have to wipe it down probably with maybe mineral spirits before painting it. But overall, all the paint's off, all the surface rust is off. Did the insides a little bit, just clean them up a little bit. I'm not going to paint the insides, but I just want to get whatever rust or grime that was in there. So cleaned it up pretty good. That's that one. This one was a little more difficult. Not difficult. Took a little more effort. I had to kind of get down in there. Actually, I don't know if that's paint or shadow. I think that's a shadow. Got down in there, got the cover. I'm going to shoot that with some gloss before spraying the rest of the casting, because if you remember, that was gloss similar to that. Same thing, cleaned up the back of this one. But overall, I'm happy they turned out well. Castings look good. I don't see any cracks or anything. I mean, it's not a high torque, high impact type of application for these, so I'm not too concerned, but if you never know. Looked around, didn't see any cracks. I saw one kind of a chip. I'm trying to remember where it was. Wasn't too concerning, but I was a little surprised to see it. Can't remember where it is now. Yeah, it's not that big a deal. Also cleaned up the sheet metal parts, capacitor covers. They cleaned up real well. I just kind of cleaned the inside too. Again, I'm not going to paint. Well, maybe I'll paint the inside. I don't know. Did those on a wire wheel. Off camera. Did this on a wire wheel. Oh, forgot to clean the inside. Crap. Well, I'll have to go back and get that. Forgot to hit the inside. But the outside cleaned up real nice. And then the band, that turned out real nice as well. I did in there. I didn't vacuum it out or clean it out, but I got a couple more spots to touch up. Did the inside again. Didn't go crazy. I don't think I'm going to paint it. It was not painted that I could tell. So we'll see. We'll see what we did with that. And then I just kind of polished up the rotor here a little bit. A little Scotch-Brite. Cleaned up these bearing surfaces. I mean, it's not fantastic. Again, I don't have a lathe, so I can't stick it on a lathe and polish it up real good. So I just use Scotch-Brite and a little wheel in some of the areas just to get it cleaned up a little bit. Back here, I was a little concerned because somehow I lost track of which bearing went where. And I was a little concerned that I wasn't going to be able to figure that out, or I kept going back over my video to see if I stated which one went where. As you recall, there's two different size bearings. One of them has a 5/8 inner bore, and the other one is metric. I can't remember what it is, but not to worry, because there is a difference in the bores. So I just stuck the calipers on there, and that one is a 595. It's not showing. Let me do it this way. That one's coming up as a 589, which, if you switch over to millimeters, is, I believe, going to be 15. Yeah, just under size, just under 15 millimeters. And then if you go over to this one down here, back here where the bearing is going to seat, again, I can't see it. Let's see. Do it this way. Back here where the bearing is going to seat, just under 5/8. So, not to worry. I will be able to figure out which bearing goes where with no problem. But I was not concerned, but it was just something I was thinking about, and just glad I had a chance to get this cleaned up and measure that out. So, if you're watching trying to figure this out, again, the 5/8, which is the pulley end of the shaft, has this crazy bearing, which has an inside diameter, like I said, of 5/8, outside of 30 millimeters, and I think it's, I want to say, 12 millimeters thick. It was the 465-181 bearing that everybody has a hard time finding. I found this one, 202 FS7 MRC, made by MRC, and that is the one that's going to press onto the pulley side of this shaft. And then the other bearing, which I have coming, I don't remember the actual bearing number I ordered, but it is to replace this MRC, this one right here. It's replacing this one, this MRC 202 SF. And that one has the 15 millimeter diameter, inner diameter, which is going to be, it's going to go right there. So 15 millimeter diameter, 15 millimeter inner diameter goes here, 5/8 inner diameter goes here, just in case anybody's trying to keep that straight, because I know I am. That's it for now. It warmed up this week. Hopefully I will be able to maybe get some primer and some paint on these parts. Still trying to find that crackle paint to put on these casings. It seems to be what matches up the most. And then I have the other bearing I'm waiting for. Should be coming later this week or early next week. I don't know why with the delay, but you know, I only paid a couple bucks for shipping, so I'm not too worried about it. And then once that bearing comes, we will put this motor back together and get it fired up. And then the next step is going to be to start to disassemble the actual press. I don't have a lot of room on my bench. Kind of got a little pile of tools I've been collecting over here. I don't really have tool storage in my basement down here. Everything is in a shed, so I kind of bring things down as I need it, and I'm a little lax to bring them back up. So, but I'll get it cleaned up as we move on to the next phase of this project. That's it for now. See ya.